Are you ready to podcast?
Hello? Who is this?
It's Dara. We're doing a bit.
Yeah. I'm ready to podcast. Are you ready to podcast?
Yeah, what's the name of the show?
Wait, what is the name of the show?
The Swamp. Does that happen to be an acronym for something?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on, let me think. Yeah. Some whack-ass movie podcasting.
Oh, great. And do we happen to have a COVID-safe guest here with us today? Because we live in a basement together? I sure think we do.
Mm-hmm. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, Henry, so happy you could join us today and do the stupid bit that we're opening this podcast
the
with.
visual bit of me holding my hand up to my face like it's a telephone doesn't really translate, I think, over podcast. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, well, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, fuck us.
Hey, I'd just like to remind you that this is our show and
It was
yours.
poorly executed. I didn't do that well.
Alright. But we are thrilled to have friend of the pod, local chef, and by local I mean this household, overall great individual and movie connoisseur of sorts, Henry.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
This is a pretty accurate description. Live-in boyfriend of Dara, usurper to the throne, all-around bastard. Yeah, I like Star Wars a lot too.
Yeah, so today we will be discussing Episode 1, The Phantom Menace of Star Wars. As our guest, Henry got to pick the movie. Why was this your choice?
I definitely enjoy Star Wars a lot in general. I think George Lucas is kind of a fuckboy and a bastard.
And you identify with that.
And I identify with that heavily. And I think this is one of the... I typically don't like most of Star Wars movies, but I really like the action scenes, and I think Episode 1, Phantom Menace, has some of the tightest action sequences.
I have to agree.
And that's why I like it the most.
So you say you like Star Wars, but you also hate Star Wars.
Yeah, I like Star Wars in the same way that I like Marvel movies. Like, the expectations are super low. I'm not expecting, like, a great narrative to be told or for there to be good dialogue, but I'm expecting, like, tight-ass action scenes, cool-ass special effects, stuff like that.
Okay.
That's my general vibe with Star Wars.
Interesting. And where would you say that this installment of the franchise falls on your spectrum of, the best of Star Wars and the worst of Star Wars? Where would you say this kind of falls on your personal preference scale?
So I definitely break it up into the separate trilogies because I think it's kind of a fallacy to compare the original trilogy to the prequels or the sequels because they're totally different eras. They were made 20 years apart. But I will say, I think within the prequel trilogy, I think The Phantom Menace is my favorite one. Revenge of the Sith is really good. I'm not gonna say it's not, but Episode 1 kind of fills that. It hits that spot for me. It has the least amount of Anakin bullshit in it. Even though, it's the start of 3 movies that are his story, it has the least of him in it, and he's always the worst part of the prequel movies that he's in. So that's what I really enjoy about The Phantom Menace.
That's a pretty fair assessment, I would say.
Yeah.
I think to say it has the least of his bullshit, though, is kind of interesting. I'd say that it probably has... Yeah, I suppose the least, but it's still a high volume of bullshit when he is there.
Yeah, so the thing is, he does the most cool shit, I think, in this movie.
It sucks because he's 8.
Right.
The fact that he peaks here, that sucks for him.
Yeah. I really enjoy, though, when, there's a lot of sequences where he's just not talking. During pod racing, when he's just pod racing, tight as hell. That's the best Anakin shit. When he's saying, "Are you an angel?" to fucking somebody 9 years older than him, and he's 8.
I think it goes to say that children should be seen and not heard.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
All right.
His confidence from this jump is just through the roof. So you've got so much to deal with to come.
Yeah.
I wish I had the confidence of 8-year-old Anakin Skywalker.
Oh my God, dude, yeah. For real. He puts himself out there so often. His pickup line is, "Are you an angel?" So bold. Holy shit.
Son. I mean, he's asking to be groomed, basically.
I think, it's consensual, no doubt. He's trying to pipe. Without a doubt.
She knew from the jump. How could she know?
Well, yeah, she some of his midichlorians must have rubbed off on her or something. Because she's sensing the energy, He's got that powerful Jedi. That's his special Jedi power is force horniness. He can project his horny.
So before we get into too much discussion, I think we should do a little bit of a recap. I think it's fair to assume that most people who are choosing to listen probably have seen or are at least very familiar with this movie, with the Star Wars, franchise. But if we could do just like a rapid fire, what happens? What is the basis of the plot?
Do you want me to hit it? Movie opens. 2 ambassadors from the Jedi Council go to Naboo to negotiate with the Trade Federation, who are blockading Naboo because they have a dispute over trade negotiations and all that. Trade Federation is being controlled by Sith guy, who we later find out is Chancellor Palpatine. He is playing both sides of this conflict, trying to basically secure power in the Senate, and his whole plan throughout the movie is to trick people into electing him as the Chancellor.
A real Nancy Pelosi.
Absolutely. a real, a policy wonk, as it were. So the basis is that the Trade Federation invades Naboo. They hold all of basically everybody in the city captive. The Jedi just managed to get the Queen out of the planet before they can force her to sign a treaty that would make what the Trade Federation is doing legal. They're forced to crash land on the planet Tatooine, where they encounter a young Anakin Skywalker who's just, riddled with big dick energy. They negotiate with a Jewish flying man named Watto, a junk dealer. Yeah.
Jew-coded. He's not explicitly Jewish.
Dude, Jedi mind tricks don't work on me, only money. You're like, get the fuck out of here. Like, come on. So, after that, Anakin, through a bet with Watto, the Jewish junk dealer, they gamble heavily on a pod race that Anakin then wins, allowing them to repair their ship. Meanwhile, Sith guys trying to hunt down the Empress, I guess, Queen. Yeah, sure. KW Queen. Full respect on that bitch's name. Her life is in danger. She's protected by the Jedi. They make it to Coruscant, where the Senate is held. The Sith guy, Palpatine, enacts his plan to become elected Chancellor. Goes off flawlessly. He nails it. They end up going back to Naboo. They fight the Trade Federation. And they drive them back from their planet. And everybody's happy. Chancellor Palpatine gets what he wants. Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn dies at the hands of Darth Maul. Obi-Wan kills him, and Anakin becomes his Padawan. That's the whole movie.
Nice. I wouldn't say that was quick, but I certainly think it was thorough.
Yes, yeah.
I think I hit all the points.
Basically, if you haven't seen The Phantom Menace, now you don't have to.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have a question for the two of you, because I think both of you are probably much more self-identified Star Wars fans than I am. I probably have only seen this movie 3 times, maybe, in my whole life. I don't have as much of an in-depth understanding. So why do you guys think that this is regarded as the most hated Star Wars movie of all time? People love to hate this movie. People walked out of theaters. People were sending George Lucas death threats after this. And honestly, it doesn't seem that bad. Maybe that's because it's my 2021 perspective and it's not, 1999. But why do you think this movie got so much hate?
It's honestly one reason in particular. It's just Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
I think you can boil it entirely down to the character of Jar Jar Binks ruined the movie. And I don't want to say ruined because I don't think the movie is ruined, but it ruined it for a lot of people. It just...
Yeah, and think about your average Star Wars fan, too. Like, a sweaty nerd who, at this point, if they were Star Wars fans when they were kids, they're, 30 years old now, going into the theaters in 1999. Mm-hmm. They're still watching a kid's movie. If they're gonna get upset about something, and this movie's got a lot of bullshit in it, no doubt. Jar Jar Binks being the main thing.
Do you think that the reason that they hate him so much is because they unwillingly identify with Jar Jar Binks?
Because they're all so clumsy. Well, yeah, Jar Jar Binks, that motherfucker got exiled because he was clumsy.
Yeah, right?
How can you ever root for that character? Fuck. There's nothing compelling about him at any point.
Then they save him and choose to bring him along with some very high-profile, really important missions. And they're like, I don't know, should we bring Padme with us? This seems kind of iffy. You're bringing somebody who was exiled for being such a fucking idiot.
Most nicely. I don't know. It seems like a dangerous place for a woman, but not for the most clumsy person on Naboo. We'll bring him there, though. That's safe for him. What the fuck?
They really took him as their slave, too. Honestly.
This movie is all about slavery. Fuck.
He was like, yep, it's a life debt. He's mine now. And that was it. They were like, yeah, no, please take him. We can't have him here any longer.
Jar Jar's down, too. He's like, yeah, fuck it. So slavery's better than this shit, I guess.
He was begging to be saved as well. And then once they saved him, he was like, what the fuck? Wait, I don't want to do this. Like, beggars can't be choosers, dog.
Yeah, not only is Jar Jar not appreciative, he's like really stupid as well.
Do you think Star Wars are kids' movies, though?
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
yeah, you think they were made as the intent to be, like, kids' movies?
I don't know.
Because I know George Lucas put Jar Jar Binks in these for comic relief specifically aimed at children. And you mentioned that a lot of Star Wars fans who were maybe kids when the originals came out were not the age, you know, they were older when the prequels came out, so maybe they didn't have that same, you know, they weren't young anymore, so they wouldn't be appreciative of things that were targeted at children. Should they have made these movies with the audience in mind that they were older, or were they always meant to be kids' movies?
Well, yeah, calling it a kids movie is kind of, you know, it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it as an adult. Like I think a lot of these action movies, they're pretty base level. They're not asking a whole lot from the audience. They're not really asking a whole lot of hard-hitting questions or anything like that. You know, they're not really...
I think they fucking are.
Like what?
These movies have, I don't know, like political and historical allegory and like themes of moral injustice. I think there are parts of the movie that certainly would appeal to adults and would absolutely go over the heads of children. I don't really remember watching these movies a lot as a kid.
Well, that's because you're not cultured.
Yeah, I wasn't raised right.
That's
Sorry.
correct. Yeah.
But I mean, like, think about what's the sixth movie? What are the original?
Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi, I mean, it was entirely like pretty much a commentary on Vietnam at the time.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So, like, you know what I mean? So I don't think I think Jar Jar Binks, I wouldn't say they're kids' movies. I think that to a degree they realized they had to pivot and, like, try to widen their audience, and they just did it so poorly.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say Star Wars casts a wide net. You
Yeah.
know, there's no doubt. It's got a little something for everyone, you know? It touches all the bases.
It's just, like, they really beat Jar Jar to death in that movie,
Oh my
too.
fucking God.
Like, every time he would, like, there were so many scenes, and Dara, you brought this up, that just didn't need to be there, of him being clumsy and stupid, and I want to know how much money they wasted just putting those in, too.
After about 2 minutes of character introduction to Jar Jar Binks, you know everything you need to know about him. There's no need beyond that for you to re-emphasize these, like, oh, he's so stupid and he has a funny voice. Every scene after that basically can be cut out and the movie doesn't change even a little bit.
It's a testament to George Lucas's inability to write convincing dialogue that they probably say directly that Jar Jar Binks is clumsy. You know, in one way or another, they'll be like, Misa got exiled for being clumsy. Or Qui-Gon will be like, he's very clumsy. Or, you know, like 5 different characters fucking say it.
Yeah, keep one. Keep one of those. And also, show me, don't tell me. I don't need to hear it over and over again.
Right.
I don't even need to be shown, honestly, because you can show it being clumsy, like, almost, like, in the background as well. There was an entire, and you brought this up, there was an entire scene where it's just him with his hands stuck in, like,
A muffler of a car.
Exactly. What did that do? It did nothing for the plot at all. And mind you, I've just looked this up. Jar Jar Binks has 17 minutes of screen time in this, and that's entirely too much.
Right, and it's all while other shit is going on, right? It's always like, they've got, like, you know, 2 characters are talking, and then it cuts, like in the middle of their conversation, cut to Jar Jar, you know, getting his dick stuck in an exhaust vent or whatever, you know, like, all the fucking time, whatever he's doing just does nothing.
I also
every
think
single
he
time.
kind of narrates a lot of situations where he'll just say what is obviously happening. Like in pod racing, he's like, Anakin sure is pod racing, huh? Like,
Lisa, Anakin going fast or bomb bad pod race.
oh, it's just so awful, and the accent and the racist undertones. Like, we don't even need
Not
to
even
get into
like
that.
overtones, I'd say. Dude.
Yeah,
it hits you in the face.
There was a lot of it in this movie as
my
well.
God.
You brought it up in the first opening scene, and I don't know what their...
the Nemodians. So the Trade Federation is partially run by a race of people called the Nemodians, or as we call them, the Space Chinese. They're fucking okay. They talk with a really ridiculous, like, stupid Chinese accent. They go like, "We will not do what the senator says." Like they just, oh my fucking god! And then
so blatant.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even try to be, like, at all subtle.
And then all the people on their command decks literally have these goggles that have slits. They're horizontal slits over their eyes. I'm like, oh fuck.
It's bad. I'm thinking that, the whole conflict here is about international trade and you're making it between white people and Chinese coded people. Jesus Christ, be a little less heavy-handed about that.
For real.
But yeah, you've got, the obvious Chinese coded trade federation, and then you have Padme. It definitely is giving me weird cultural appropriation vibes. She's like in geisha whiteface. Some of her her costumey, that just didn't sit right with me. Jar Jar Binks and the
Gungans.
the Jamaican accent, it's real bad. Watto, Jew coded.
Again, not even Jew coded, just Jewish, just space Jewish. That's it's so lazy because there's other whatever works of fiction will do Jew coded people. Oh man, I'm trying to think of an example.
Every Disney villain is Jew-coded, basically.
Or Disney will do things where their ears are really big.
Yeah, he has a big hooked nose, so he's evil. Jesus Christ.
A pound of flesh will do. They should that's all that was missing was Watto asking for shekels.
Also, the weird slavery culture in this movie just is so weird. So Jar Jar Binks is basically a slave, and he's already African American coded, so that's fucked. And then
Jamaican coded, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean
he's just racist. That's all I know.
Anakin is a slave, and Padme's like, "Are you a slave?" And he's like, "I'm a person." What was that conversation? So weird. His mom is a slave. He's like, They keep being like, "Oh, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, are you here to free us because we're slaves?" And they keep being like, "Nah,
can't do that. Nah. Sorry, bro. We have laser swords, but
It's my hands are tied.
I could just use the Force or my invincible sword, but
Yeah.
Don't want to intervene or nothing.
It was also when I can't help but remember when they were talking about where they took all of the people on Naboo. They were just like, oh yeah, they brought them to the camps. They're at the camps.
Oh fuck.
I was like, oh, is this okay?
Process them. What does that mean?
Is this one of the most racist movies ever made?
Not ever made.
I'd say,
no.
okay, yeah, first it's Birth of a Nation, and then second is just the scene where Quentin Tarantino says the N-word in any one of his movies, and then third is The Phantom Menace. That's the pecking order.
Green Book actually comes after.
Right, yeah. Green Book is a close fourth, yeah.
Vigo.
I'm gonna teach you how to eat fried chicken, kid. You just throw the bones right out the window.
Okay, I want you guys to rank the haircuts.
Oh, this is good. Okay.
So, just some notable mentions. Basically, you've got Obi-Wan's 2 rat tails. It's got the braid and the little pony.
One was not enough.
No, fierce.
And Qui-Gon has his half pony, and the beard. The whole thing is a look, I would say. Anakin's got the bowl cut. He doesn't really have much choice in his personal style, I would say. But we've got to, shout out.
He's
to the
a
bowl
slave, Dara.
He's not a slave. He's a person.
Well, he's a person who needs to go to the barber. And Padme has a number of just outstandingly ridiculous hair pieces, but the big donut ring, and the very first scene you see her, her hair's a huge fucking ring around her head, and she's got some sort of silly hat on it, but honestly, you can just chalk all of Padme's hair up to just count as one.
The pinecone mohawk at the end.
That was good. That was
fire.
Good.
So what do you guys think?
Okay,
where do we
so
fall here?
hold on. Can I count Darth Maul's spikes as a haircut?
Yes.
Okay, so that's number 1.
Yeah, I
for
agree.
sure. You gotta kind of respect the ridiculousness and I want to know how feasibly long it would take for Padme to get these hair pieces ready.
That's why she's so politically unaware of what's happening all the time, is because she gets her hair done for 16 hours a day.
Yeah. And then I think honorable mention goes out to Watto's chin stubble thing that just looks so gross.
Neck beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Darth Maul's probably top, and then Padme, And then Obi-Wan and his 2 rat tails. Qui-Gon was just a bit too basic. Same with Anakin's.
Yeah. I always just, whenever I put my hair up in a half pony, I think I look a little bit like Liam Neeson, you know? I think that's, like, really popular look for girls with long hair to do, like, the half bun and then leave the rest down, and, you know, you just look like Liam Neeson.
He had exactly 0 volume, though. It was kind of amazing.
Get some moose in there.
I think also, I think Anakin gets when he gets the same haircut at the end of the movie that, like, Obi-Wan had, he looks fire. Like, he's got, like, the little spikes going on, he's got his little Padawan braid.
He knows it, too. Yeah. You saw his little smirk right at the end. He was like,
he
yo.
Gave big fuck me eyes to Padme. He was like, oh my god, that stare. He's 8 years old, but goddamn, he's gotta relax.
I want to bring up the body double situation in the movie. So basically, Queen Padme uses a body double to sit in while she goes and fucks off. And I want to say, so the body double is Keira Knightley, and they look exactly the fucking same.
Isn't it? Like, you said that at the beginning of the movie. It's like, oh yeah, that's Keira Knightley. I was like, what the fuck, really?
She talks about it on, like, the Graham Norton show, I think, is what it is. And it's really interesting, because she was just, like, 15, and she's like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. Like,
yeah, barely had any lines, but just had to, you know, stand there and look like Natalie Portman, which, you know, she does a stellar job at.
Speak Wrigley.
Yeah, great gig.
Yeah, for real.
So Padme fucks off, and I just want to say that I think stand-in Empress Keira Knightley does a fucking better job than Padme, TBH.
100%.
Padme fucks off and is like, I'm gonna go groom a child. You know, I'm gonna make big fuck me eyes at an 8-year-old.
As my queenly duty dictates.
And then the minute she gets back, she just fucking dismantles the democratic system of her country.
Of her whole galaxy, yeah.
All she had to do was just maintain what Keira Knightley had done, which is stand there and do nothing. And she fucked that up.
Wait, all right, so isn't... In the Senate scene, right? So when they go back to Coruscant and Palpatine is convincing, I honestly couldn't tell if it was Keira Knightley or
that was Padme.
It was Natalie Portman, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's her just like literally in one swoop. She's like, I vote for no confidence in whatever Chancellor Valorum. Then like that's her doing that, and it's such like an obvious like. Oh, but you could do a vote of no confidence. And, like, just so dumb. So fucking stupid. Like,
Also,
you could vote for me, perhaps.
Supposedly, this is a democratic system they live in, and she's a queen, but she was elected a queen, which I don't think that's how being a queen works. I think that makes you a president. But she's elected queen. She's fucking 15. What nation elected a 15-year-old girl with 8,000 pounds of hair product in her to be their representative? There was not a better choice? Really?
I don't know, because she was not compelling at all in her role, but, like, what kind of, what is it?
Like, political campaign did she run to convince the people?
She must have had she had great campaign managers, that's all I can say.
It's a allegory for all the identity politics going on in America right now, you know? Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. So, something that really caught me in this movie, I know that a lot of people really criticize the acting heavily. You know, a lot of characters are pretty wooden, unlikable, don't seem to have any personality or agency. And I think that is basically chalked up to the poor dialogue writing. But some of the accents that happen in this movie, completely moving on from just the pure racist accents that happen, sometimes when characters are speaking, I cannot fucking tell what they're going for. Anakin's mom is British, ?
Like Eastern
European for a little bit. Sometimes she sounds a little bit Southern. And Anakin just, you know, talks like an American 8-year-old boy.
Sounds like Midwestern, yeah.
So what the fuck was that about?
I really liked Anakin's speaking in an alien language. Like, he just entirely sounded like how you do...
Like a Somalian, basically.
Chapanunopa, Sebulba.
Nipsey, Bonica too.
Like in Spanish class in like the 9th grade when you have no idea what you're going for.
You have to do a skit.
Yeah, you're just trying super, super hard.
Yo soy fiesta, Ganacatoda.
Yeah, 0 inflection. You're just so worried about speaking right.
Yeah.
And so Anakin's mom is kind of fucked, and then also Padme, which both as Keira Knightley and as Natalie Portman, where they like talk deep and slow and sound regal, and she ended up just kind of, yes, I am, yes,
I am Queen.
Queen.
I'm Queen Keira Knightley. Like, which set her up for a long career of acting in ridiculous gowns and just speaking in a regal voice. That's kind of Keira Knightley's entire trajectory was based on The Phantom Menace, I think.
Did Star Wars set her up for success?
Yeah, absolutely. Just doing period pieces and just being like, yes, Queen.
And I want to just put this out there. Is Star Wars a period piece? Does this fall into the Keira Knightley category of period pieces?
It was in a galaxy far, far away a long, long time ago.
I have to assume it's a period piece.
It's historical.
And come on, the costuming alone, I think, categorizes it as a historical drama.
Yeah, there's one dress in particular when the Trade Federation, it's that scene where they're going into whatever the city's called, and they're showing all the shots of the droids flying by the window and there's bikes, and she's like standing by the window looking out of it, and there's like a costume change because I think it switches from it switches from Natalie Portman to Keira Knightley. Mm-hmm. And she's looking out the window, and she has this orange dress on with these, like, pods on the bottom that look like egg sacs. Yeah, like, they're either, like, egg sacs or, like, weird lamps, but they're, like, there's, like, ringing around her big old dress. And then the very next scene, I think it's to kind of show you that it's a body double, because it goes from Natalie Portman to Keira Knightley. She's in, like, a black thing with, like, feathers that go in, like, a half moon around the top of her head.
That is my favorite Padme look. The chicken feather headpiece. Are you kidding me? It was so Vegas. It was so showgirl.
Cher definitely would have worn that.
Yes, it was giving me
Cher definitely
everything.
has worn that, actually. What? Did you have a favorite outfit? I liked her, what is it, that white one that she's wearing.
At
when
the very end, with the pearls.
Yeah.
I think it's the egg sack dress, because like it's probably in the movie for like 5 seconds. They don't show you that for very long at all.
That's the dress too, though. That any sort of promotion and everything like that was done in, like, all of her character, like all of her the little Padme dolls or whatever. It was always that look.
Shit, that's awesome. I want those little egg sacks. I want them on like a pair of jeans or something. I don't know, like on my hips. They'd be tight. Little egg sack holsters.
So I wonder if this movie would have maybe benefited from hiring actors who were a little bit older. So Natalie Portman was 18 and still in high school when filming this movie. And, she's a great actress and has done a lot of great things, but I don't think her performance here is stellar by any means. And then additionally, the child actor who plays Anakin, not great. There's only so much you can really get out of an 8-year-old. And I know that the part of the story where he is considered to be too old to be starting training as a Jedi is kind of important and maybe would have changed pretty drastically if he was, say, 12 or 13, maybe a little older. But do you think that maybe some of the acting could have been improved if they had hired maybe a 22-year-old to be Padme and like a 13-year-old to be Anakin?
I don't think so, honestly. I think it was just the actor. I mean, like, think about, like, if this movie was made today and they had, like, Jacob Tremblay play Anakin,
it still would suck.
It would still suck, but Anakin would be, one, a lot more likable, and it would just be a better performance entirely. And I don't know, Natalie Portman seems like she just she didn't put her heart into this one. Because she's done what did she do? Like Leon, what is it, The Professional or something like that? Like before this, when she was like 15 years old, and that was like a pretty good performance from what I understand, right?
I think all these issues can be chalked up to George Lucas's inability to write dialogue. I think there are a lot of actors in this movie trying their best, but all the dialogue is just purely expositional. It's like, Qui-Gon's talking to Obi-Wan over the radio. What are his midichlorian counts? Over 20,000. Golly gee, that sure is a lot of midichlorians for one kid to have. What are midichlorians? Midichlorians are what the Force is. They live in your cells. And like every single piece of dialogue goes exactly like that. Those are good actors in there. Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Keira Knightley, all stars in their own right. No doubt. George Lucas just can't write dialogue for shit. He's got he can tell good stories. He can tell good visual stories, especially in the beginning. I wish the whole movie was just like tanks rolling in and fighting, or, generals saying things to each other, or just stuff like that. Just because that's actually compelling. When they're all like, golly gee, you won't be a slave anymore. But what about my mom? You don't, obviously, that's the situation. Every single scenario that the characters find themselves in they end up just hitting what's going on over the head narratively because the dialogue is so goddamn stiff.
Imagine if all the time when people talked, they just verbally explained what was happening in real life. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Right.
Hey guys, don't you sure love podcasting? We're here doing the podcast.
And this is what happens when a podcast happens. Yeah.
I think this movie could vastly be improved if you just listened to it or watched it muted.
Yeah.
But like, because I mean, it's definitely George Lucas too. Because as much as people kind of hate the new trilogy as well, you can't deny that the dialogue is so much better than any of the originals and any of the prequels.
Yeah, there's pretty funny interviews where Mark Hamill talks about having to be straightforward with George Lucas and be like, I'm not going to say that. That sounds really dumb. There's a great clip, and I'm not going to try to quote it because I won't say it correctly, but you know, he's on some sort of talk show, and there's that iconic scene in episode 4, you know, that snow moon, it's a battle station or whatever, when they're pulling up on the Death Star. The original dialogue in there was basically about 30 seconds of Luke Skywalker's character just explaining the situation they were in, and it's so goddamn hilarious. I'll show you guys the clip later, but of Mark Hamill, he knows it line by line, because he's got, like, definitely, like, a little bit of, like, you know, I don't know, Mark Hamill's a little bit, like, right-brained, if you know what I mean? You know,
sure.
It's got, like, so, yeah. But like, I don't know, he just like, he knows it line by line, maybe just because he's a professional, but he repeats it. It really just goes to show that George Lucas is a great special effects guy, and he can do a lot with visual storytelling, but just have someone else write the dialogue, man.
Yeah, I think it really sucks that this movie ended some careers before they could basically even start. Mm-hmm. The guy who played Jar Jar, he wore this really silly, like, CGI costume where the Jar Jar head was on top of his head, and, you know, he did the voice and stuff, but everyone on the cast really liked him, and even Liam Neeson said that he thought that this guy would have, like, a really flourishing good career after this movie, but because of the fan hate, this guy basically was never in anything after. He contemplated suicide because of fan hate, and it basically ended his acting career, as well as the kid who played Anakin. He said that the bullying that he received at school for being in this movie, and the fan backlash because they regarded The Phantom Menace as the worst movie ever made or whatever, discouraged him from ever pursuing acting ever again, and he stopped. So does George Lucas owe these people, I don't know, financial compensation for ruining what could have been a really great career?
Yeah, like, George Lucas should have been on the team that made Star Wars, but he should not be solely responsible for everything that happens with it, you know? I think he's got good ideas, and obviously he is solely responsible for the initial creation of, you know, the original trilogy and all that. Aside from that, he's just he's only been poison to the other stories they've tried to tell.
The fact that no one stepped in and actually just said, hey, George, this sucks. This is really bad. Like, can we, like, do some edits or anything like that? And mind you, what's on screen, too, was probably heavily, like, marked up and, what's the right word? I mean, edited from whatever he actually first wrote.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the best that he could do.
And would those movies be as good as they were without John Williams? You know?
No.
Hell no. Right? Like, all those scenes where cool shit's going on, totally emphasized by the fact that they've got this killer score the whole time. You know, like, John Williams' contribution to Star Wars cannot be overstated. I think he's probably half the reason people love it so much.
Oh, yeah.
He creates those iconic moments.
When the fight scene starts to happen with Maul and Obi-Wan.
Duel of the Fates is one of the best songs ever written for a movie. I'll say that right away. Like,
the
so
soundtrack
good.
here slaps so fucking hard.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things, too, it's like, because everyone always talks about how good it is, but it's not overrated because it genuinely is just that fucking good. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I don't think there's a more iconic soundtrack. I don't think so. You know, like,
Than Star Wars in general, or than The Phantom Menace specifically?
No, in Star Wars in general. Actually, I'll say, I think Duel of the Fates, maybe aside from, like, Darth Vader's theme, you know, is one of the most iconic songs in all of movies.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do is that, and everybody can picture Darth Maul in their head. You know, that's what that music does.
Yeah, it's the same thing with, and you probably know the name of it, but the score for what is it? Not Revenge. Yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
The third one. Yeah.
Yeah, the third one. When Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting, when it's just that massive chorus.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah. They really just, you can kind of overlook all the stiff, shitty dialogue even in the third movie, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
That's just iconic.
Yeah, but right, it's like
you were the chosen one.
Oh my fucking god. And again, like, not bad actors. Hayden Christensen, in other movies, he's good.
Yeah,
like,
that's another career that's another career that really got destroyed because of George Lucas. I mean, there's one scene in Attack of the Clones, like when he gets to his mother and she's about to die or whatever. That's like some genuinely very good acting that he does.
Oh yeah.
And it's pretty compelling. But it's just the rest of it, like him and Natalie Portman, like, frolicking through the meadows and everything like that.
Like,
and
forces a pear into her mouth from across the table. I know we're talking about the Phantom Menace, but, like, I don't know. I wish Hayden Christensen had a better career, that's all. He didn't deserve what he got.
Yeah, he didn't. He did pretty much nothing big after that at all. That, like...
Yeah. He had a couple of movies, like, here and there, but not as much as he deserves.
Yeah, no. I'm really excited that he's coming back to play Darth Vader for the Obi-Wan show. I think that's really good for him.
For sure.
Because he pretty much gave up acting for a while, and he just lives on, like, this massive ranch with his daughter.
Well, yeah. Right, you need to do one Star Wars movie, then you never need to work again, you know?
But
unless you're Ahmed Best and then you play Jar Jar Binks and then literally try to kill yourself because people are so fucking mean to you.
Poor guy.
Yeah, no, that really sucks. I didn't know that.
He did a good job acting that character. That's what's so hard about that, right? That's what sucks. It's a shit character, but he did a good job delivering it.
It must have been so hard, too. Like, they were shooting... I don't know where exactly they shot all the Tatooine scenes and everything like that.
I think it was over in, like, Tunisia or something like that.
Yeah. Something like that, like, super fucking hot and just scorching, like, all the time. And that man is in, like, this big, fat, like, rubber latex suit, working his ass off, trying to give this character, like, his all.
Hustling.
And then he's greeted with, like, the reception that it was, and it just sucks.
So not to mansplain, but I just Googled where they filmed Tatooine just because I was curious, and it's Death Valley National Park in California.
Oh.
So not Tunisia, but still a pretty hot place.
They did, I think they did the original trilogy over in Africa. Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
I might be wrong on that, but all the scenes, I remember, they had a lot of issues with the C-3PO guy overheating all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In literal tinfoil.
Yeah. In, like, an easy bake oven.
They're like, why is he having a heat stroke for the third day in a row? I don't get it.
That is cool. That's the only actor who's been in every single Star Wars movie. Is the guy who plays C-3PO, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, he rocks.
Yeah.
Good for him.
For playing such an insufferable character, too. I also hate C-3PO. Yeah, all he does...
but at least you don't send death threats to his actor, you know?
Yeah, because it's fucking Star Wars.
Why do you hate C-3PO?
Because he's just like, oh heavens, oh my. Like, all he does is just sit, like, and be like, oh geez, there's a lot of drama going on. And, like, that's all he contributes, you know? Like, he shines a little bit in episode 6, where he, like, translates for the Ewoks and, like, he helps Luke intimidate them or whatever. But aside from that, he's just kind of like, oh geez, where are we going now? This seems a bit sandy for my taste, and yeah, I don't fuck with C-3PO.
If I was a character in Star Wars, though, I think I would want to be C-3PO, because he gets to see and be there for all of the drama, but, like, never... The only thing that's ever, like, really happened to him is, like, his head getting put on a droid in episode 2.
Yeah. Well, that's, like, C-3PO kind of takes on the Jar Jar role in episode 2.
That's true.
You know, like, he's kind of I think that's probably where most of my dislike for him comes from, where he just kind of is the unnecessary comic relief in an already pretty light story.
It's definitely better, though, than... I mean, it can only get better than the Jar Jar comic relief.
Yeah.
But, yeah, because we were talking about, being a kid's movie, and I'm thinking back, because I definitely... Like, as you get older, you really do start to hate Jar Jar so much more. Because I didn't hate him. Like, definitely as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, this is, like, pretty entertaining. Like, obviously. But...
I mean, we just liked him as a kid because he could double jump in the Lego Star Wars PlayStation games, and
also
there were certain levels you could only pass if you played as Jar Jar because he could double jump.
Think of all the mini kits you had to get using Jar Jar, you know? But again...
Very valuable.
He just becomes totally obsolete when you unlock General Grievous, who can do the big jump and also has lightsabers. Mm-hmm. So, what is even the point?
I think my only nostalgia for this era of Star Wars is just from that video game. I don't ever even remember watching these movies, but the pod racing level that was impossible to beat, that stuck with me.
Oh yeah, I was watching it today, and I was right back there, playing it and going around way more than 3 times because I couldn't get everything the fuck I needed to.
And I would argue that those Lego Star Wars games tell the Star Wars story in a much more compelling way because they cut out all the dialogue. All they do is make Lego gestures to each other, you know? Like, it's a much more effective medium to tell Star Wars stories.
Yeah, so fuck you, George Lucas.
Yeah, fuck you, George Lucas. Like, thank God for LucasArts and all of their hard work on the Lego games. That's my hot take. LucasArts doesn't exist anymore, though, which is really sad.
It's just Disney. It's all just Disney.
Yeah, EA, too. Like, EA does Disney own EA now, too?
I would probably... Disney owns everything.
Yeah, true.
Disney owns you. Disney owns me.
But it doesn't own Emily. Who's the only thing that Disney doesn't own is Emily, which is pretty special.
Yeah, because you have a contract with DreamWorks.
Yeah. I retained my rights and kind of went the other direction. I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna sell out like the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly.
You're kind of alt, you know? Like,
Yeah. I'll be in the oligopoly, but not the monopoly.
So we can do the drinking segment, which is basically just what sort of cocktail would you make to pair with this movie? And I just think you just need fucking shots to get through it. I think every person just needs their own individual flask of your hard liquor of choice, and that's how to do this movie.
Yeah, you take a long pull from the flask every time Anakin says something cringy.
Every time he says, yippee!
Yeah.
Oh my god. There was at least, I think I counted like 7 yippies from not only Anakin, but every single child that was present on Tatooine. Everyone yippied for some reason. Never in my life, when I was 5 years old, did I say yippee.
Again, because George Lucas doesn't know how to show people being excited, so he's like, what do people say when they're excited about things? Yippee! Yes, of course.
George Lucas has never met a child. So what would some drinking role games be? Definitely every time you get a yippee, that's gotta be a drink.
You have to drink an entire 40 ounce. When Anakin says, "Now this is pod racing," you have to chug a whole 40.
I think take a shot anytime the leader of the Guns goes and goes.
Be gone with him.
Boss Nass.
Yes,
and then I think definitely a Natalie Portman, Keira Knightley switcheroo. Take a drink.
Yeah, every time you're confused as to which one is which. Anytime Qui-Gon does some badass shit, which is basically throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, then you're just getting into like liver damage territory.
Anytime an 8-year-old Anakin is trying to
fuck Natalie Portman.
Every close-up shot of fuck me eyes between an 8-year-old and a 15-year-old, you take a shot.
Which in the movie she's supposed to be 15, but in real life she is 18. And just, I know that they were setting this up to then be a more age-appropriate romance in the following movies, but like, just come on. Like,
it's really horny.
It makes me feel icky inside.
It's really overly horny.
Like, how hard of a time do you think it was for her being an 18-year-old and trying to find chemistry with an 8-year-old?
With a bowl cut?
Right, well,
who says, yippee!
All you have to do is say, "Are you an angel?" And she's like, ugh.
And I would say, for snacks for this movie, did you ever have sand growing up where somebody just...
What do you mean? What?
You're gonna have to elaborate.
It's like a fun dessert that it's like pudding that you basically put crushed up graham crackers in. You know, like dirt, which is like pudding with Oreos. It's opposite, and it's like butterscotch pudding with graham crackers, and it looks like sand.
I think you should genuinely just go outside and get a bowl of sand and just start crunching.
Oh yeah, I hate sand. It's coarse and rough, and it gets everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know, because there's not many other like food reference. I mean, sand's not food.
There is that little thing. It's that scene where Qui-Gon's lightsaber gets flashed, and that's like when Anakin notices it. Mm-hmm. He's like, I forget what they're fucking called, but they're like, "Oh, have one of these, you'll love it." It's right before the sandstorm comes. They have to go to his house.
Uh-huh.
He's like, "You'll love one of these," and Qui-Gon like lifts up his skirt, like low key flashes. Like, I carry, by the way. Tatooine is a concealed carry planet.
You could do what is it? Because there's that one scene where Jar Jar is like trying to eat some like frog looking thing. Just get like some frog legs or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Get really, really experimental with your hors d'oeuvres. Just sand and frog legs. I think that's...
I don't think anyone's coming to this party.
Well, they pour themselves some sort of drink. So Jar Jar eats an apple whole. And then they also, at that same scene, they're pouring something out of the same, like, plastic-looking pitcher thing as, like, they did in, like, episode 4. We can assume it's blue milk, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Did you guys ever put food coloring in your milk growing up?
Not once.
I was just out here eating sand and drinking blue milk. I don't know about you guys.
You were raised wrong.
Wasn't even watching Star Wars. I was just living it. But what would you follow this movie up with? Would you just rock the prequels? Would you pick a different Star Wars? Do you do something else entirely?
I think Star Wars is one of those ones where you really do kind of have to go through it if you're going to follow it up. So I would just say Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I don't think...
There's nothing else that you could really do that's going to fulfill you the same way that a second and worse Star Wars movie would.
Yeah,
And especially...
people talk about, like, the viewing order and stuff like that. And, I think that some people will say, like, you have to alternate, like, you go 4-1, 5-2, 6-3. Which I think would really only highlight the fact that a lot of those movies are really just the same formula over again. That's an issue I had with the sequels. We're not talking about that right now, but the sequels are really just, episode 7 is episode 4, or episode 8 is... It's really over the top. It's
It
really
was
dumb.
so unbelievably half-assed.
Yeah.
I remember watching, what is it? Yeah, I don't know what the actual name of it is, but the...
Episode 8 or 9?
Episode 7?
Oh.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens.
Yeah, The Force Awakens. And I think a lot of people were very excited for it, for something fresh, and it's literally the exact same plot as A New Hope.
It's not
Whoa! Now she's a girl this time.
She's a girl, and Han Solo is old now. Like, they didn't even get a new Han Solo. They literally just got Harrison Ford again, but now he has gray hair.
I'm just really glad that Harrison Ford finally got what he wanted and just saw Han Solo dead.
Yeah. You knew Harrison Ford was trying to kill Han Solo for a long time.
Fuck, marry, kill?
Oh god. Okay, I didn't prepare anything for this, but
I got you. Fuck, marry, kill. Watto, Darth Maul, Jar Jar Binks.
you're fucking Watto?
No. Not for the whole movie. Those are your 3 choices. You have to choose fuck, marry, kill.
Oh, no. You get to pick from the whole movie first.
Oh, well, that's too easy. That's too easy. 'Cause
Okay, well,
obviously,
between...
you fuck Darth Maul, you marry Watto, and you kill Jar Jar Binks. Very simple.
I mean,
Yeah, from
marry Watto?
Well, he's got so much fucking money, dude.
I don't think he does.
He
He sells junk.
And then you get to fuck Watto all the time and live in his dope house with his slaves.
He had 2 slaves, and one of them was a child whom he then lost in a bet. So...
Watto kind of
He's
reminds
flawed.
me of that one Cupcake song, and it's called Squidward's Nose. And it's
His dick smaller than my toes. I'd rather ride Squidward's nose.
It's just Watto, though.
Watto's nose. It's got that elephant trunk.
I would say it's weird because you can't fuck Jar Jar because what does he have going on? What is his business? I don't know, and I don't think I want to know.
Probably got gills. If I had to guess.
Well, then that's definitely a yes for me. But I
For
think
your pleasure.
from those 3, I guess I would marry Darth Maul though.
Yeah.
I'd marry Darth Maul. I guess I'd fuck Watto, and then I'd kill Jar Jar.
I think I
Darth
agree
Maul,
on you.
Darth Maul would probably hit you, though. I think Darth Maul is probably a woman abuser.
Oh.
He's a Sith, right? Like, he's full
Yeah.
of anger and hate.
He would be my pick from the whole movie, of the whole cast. If we get to fuck, marry, kill, I'm definitely fucking Darth Maul. Come on.
Yeah.
And then I'm debating whether do you kill young Anakin,
Yeah.
do you kill baby Hitler,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
or
absolutely.
do you kill Palpatine?
Okay, because Anakin... Okay, you kill Palpatine because Anakin would be fine if Palpatine just wasn't in the picture.
Yeah, true. If
So-
Anakin was just, like, chilling, if he was just more relaxed. And also, if you kill Palpatine, there's no Clone Wars either, because that's totally fabricated by him. So,
Yeah.
then Anakin just has to grow up, be chilling, balance on the Force.
Who are you marrying,
I would
though?
marry who's Samuel L. Jackson?
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu? I'm marrying the fuck out of Mace Windu. Or Ewan McGregor. Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
Obi-Wan would probably be a good husband.
Yeah, I'd go... Yeah, I think I'd say the same.
Do you guys know which one Kiadi Mundi is?
Yeah, the moon face, right?
He's got the
whole
really
moon
tall
face.
skull, yeah.
Is that who you're fucking?
So yeah, he's the only Jedi So normally Jedi aren't supposed to have any like love interest or
Oh, yeah,
any
this
sort
is-
of like relationships. Kiadi-Mundi, though, is part of this species where
they're what is it? They're like endangered pretty much.
yeah, like he's one of the only males in their race, so it's basically his responsibility to
fuck.
Yeah, so like there's all these like expanded universe, like, you know, texts and stuff like that and lore, where Kiadi-Mundi has like, you know, 80 wives that he just has to pipe all the time in order to save his race. You know, he's a hero.
He's doing a service.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, he's definitely got the best dick game in the Star Wars universe because he's just having so much sex all the time.
He's well trained.
So, what would you give this movie on a 1 to 10 scale? Pretty, you know, subjective. Ratings don't matter, but give it 1. I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a 5. I'll give it a 5.
Yeah, I'm going with 5. Yeah. I can't rip on it too much just because it is one of those things similar to the Incredibles episode. The nostalgia factor is there. Big Star Wars fan. I don't feel like I can give a Star Wars movie less than a 5 just because I like it so much. But it's not objectively good.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. So many of the toys I had as a kid were like from this movie specifically. You know,
this was the #1 movie the day you were born.
Yes.
If you like put your birthday into a website and it says like what the current #1 movie in America.
1999, baby.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'd give it like a really strong 5. I really enjoy watching this movie, but I don't think it has really any merit beyond its cool action scenes and like maybe some of the. Well, I mean, I really liked a lot of the costume design and like the special effects. That's what I think is enjoyable about this movie. Nothing else, really.
The special effects surprisingly hold up.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Like,
a lot of them
pretty
are
good.
practical, and I do think, though, it's a little bit jarring switching between the practical effects and the, you know, CGI computer effects, because a lot of the aliens are, you know, practical special effects makeup, but then you have Jar Jar, who's just a really poorly rendered CGI character. So it's kind of like, it's impressive in some shots, and then it's kind of distractingly bad in others.
Yeah.
So I do think for 1999, I am impressed, but it is a little bit, you know, jarring to switch back and forth. And especially a lot of the scenes were like miniatures or, you know, practically done, which was really cool. But then you get those attempts at CGI, which don't really hold up.
There's like one specifically where Darth Maul fights Qui-Gon for the first time in the desert, and like when he jumps off the bike, it's CGI and it looks terrible. But then like they start fighting and it looks cool. So it's forgivable but really noticeable.
Yeah, I thought there was the one scene at the end where they're all at the parade on Naboo, and you can just tell that they just copy and pasted so many of these guns like in the marching band.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh wow, that's you really kind of went out on a low note with that one.
Yeah, like fine, you know, they're all drumming. Fuck it.
I would say the one redeemable piece of dialogue from this whole movie, though, is when baby Anakin says, "Now this is pod racing."
Oh.
That's where 3 of my 5 points for this movie come from.
All of my 5 just come from the Duel of the Fates battle.
Yeah.
Strictly that.
Yeah, like 4 things going on all at the same time, like the Gungans fighting the droids, and then the lightsaber fight. It's just, it's tight. I agree with you. Tight as hell.
Like, that's all you really need to watch of the entire movie. If you just watch that, like, maybe, 10, 15-minute segment of the film, like, you're better off than watching the entire thing, I think.
Wrapping things up, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The Swamp Pod. Thanks for listening, I guess. We talked about a lot of shit today. So.
Good job, guys.
Yeah. Yippee!